We're staged for another run of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts, with Marty Huff and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your hosts, Doug and Marty.
This is The Straight Line on Drag Racing. Thanks for stopping by our half-hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. Top fuel and two wheels on tap today. Brittany Force puts herself back in contention for the championship with a win at Maple Grove, and Eddie Krawiec takes his third in a row for the Harley guys. We're in the beams and set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. How you doing, coast to coast, around the world? This is The Straight Line of Drag Racing at mrn.com, along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert. I am Marty Huff. As promised, coming up, Brittany Force and Eddie Krawiec, but also congratulations going out to Ron Capps and Bo Butner for winning their ends, the funny car and the pro stock rounds at Maple Grove. And we were talking just before we went on the air. The Ron Capps win was a weird one. If you hadn't seen it, in two straight rounds, the semis and the finals, Matt Hagan and Courtney Force both had their parachutes come out at about the same time at the track, at about 700-800 feet.
So somebody's got a voodoo doll. So boom, and they pull it and the parachutes come out.
I think so. Maybe it's probably not Capps because he's a little busy. But maybe, Ron Tobler or Don Schumacher or something like that. I don't know. But
Almighty Oz. Somebody has.
Yeah, it was just weird. But these are the things that help you win championships. They say it's better to be lucky than good, and I think there was a little bit of both there for Ron Capps this weekend.
Yeah, and we've talked about it a little bit before. I don't really like that NHRA has external controlled shutoffs. All of the Top Fuel and funny cars have a box on them that's radio controlled, basically, that can deploy the parachutes, shut off the fuel system, turn off the ignition. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like sending a monkey into space. Like you got a driver in the car so that they can drive the car. If they can't drive the car, then why are they in the car? You know? So I don't know. I don't really care for that much.
Yeah.
But that's racing. I mean, I'm from the old school, right? We've got a parachute lever, and you're driving down the track with one hand on the brake and one hand on the steering wheel, and you pull the chutes at the finish line, you get on the brakes and all that. This is not done automatically, but
I just never could understand how you guys, and everybody does it, I guess. You're driving 300 miles an hour plus with one hand, basically. Yeah. I mean, if sometimes some people do both, but I mean, for a lot of you, and you're one of them. You're in there, driving with one hand.
So I've got one foot on what we call a dead pedal, so you're pushing yourself, holding yourself in the seat, so you're steady, and then your other foot obviously is on the gas pedal. Your one hand's on the steering wheel, your other's on the brake. So you're busy, and that's that's the way you need to get it done, by being as busy as you can in the car, and you're Dick LaHaye used to tell me, he says, Herbert, be a machine. So you be part of the machine. As long as you're part of the machine, things are going to go well. If you've got a broken cog, or you're not part of the machine, or the machine is thinking for you, it's kind of like, I was always like a motorcycle guy, not a horse guy, because I wanted to be the only one with a brain. I wanted to be the one with a brain controlling that car or a motorcycle or whatever. When you're on a horse, that horse has a brain. I want to be the only one with the brain.
Yeah.
The same thing with a race car, that the parachutes come out automatically and it shuts off automatically. Wait a second here. I'm in charge here.
Yeah, well, right. And then when you have to pedal it, then you're really busy.
Then you're really busy, yeah.
Because, and I know you like to play with the brake when you had to pedal it.
Well, typically and I'm sure a lot of the guys now that are good and win races, when it starts to spin or smoke the tires, not only are you getting off the throttle, but you're pulling on the brake. And you're pulling the brake to get the wheel speed down so the tires regain traction. And as you're getting back on the throttle, you're pulling on the brake too. And as soon as you get wide open on the throttle and it's not spinning the tires, then you can start letting off the brake. But you're steering the car to keep it as straight as you can in the groove. What the groove is, I guess anybody would it's that center 8 feet of the tractor,
Yeah.
so where all the rubber is, where all the VHD traction compound is, you want to keep the car right there, not in the dirt, not in the rocks, not off the side where there's, junk. You want to keep it right in the middle. So you're steering to keep it in the middle, you're on the brake to keep the tires from spinning, you're on the gas as much as you can, and, trying to get to the finish line.
Trying to get 10,000, 11,000 horsepower under control. Yeah, good luck with that. And also Bo Butner taking a big win. It's kind of a weird scene at the top of the Pro Stock heap right now. You have Greg Anderson, who has all these championships and all these wins, fighting against Tanner Gray and Bo Butner, who have just a handful of wins and no championships. And those are the three that are really battling out now.
I'll tell you what, that Tanner Gray, the Gray Motorsport team, they've been impressive this year.
They really have.
You got to say, they have been impressive. Tanner Gray obviously doing a great job in the car. He's, but he's a rookie. I mean, he doesn't have the experience that, Jason Line or Greg Anderson has. Yeah. But yet he's out there winning the races. And, I don't know how much he does in the shop, but Greg Anderson, Jason Line, those guys do a lot in the shop. Yeah. Bo Butner, I'm not sure there again. I think he is pretty involved with the, running the car and setup on the car and all that stuff. So anyways, pretty interesting. Yeah, it's a really big variance of what we're seeing from the Gray team and, KB Racing and these other guys. And then, in the Top Fuel and Funny car, you've got Force and you got Schumacher, but then leading the points, you've got Torrance in Top Fuel. So, what do you do? And then in the, Colettas, I mean, won 3 or 4 of the past few races. So. Right. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be tough this year. And
Top Fuel has really got real. And speaking of which, we will have the Top Fuel winner, the defending winner, as a matter of fact, at Maple Grove. Brittany Force will join us next.
O'Reilly. Need auto parts? Get them with a click at the new O'ReillyAuto.com. Shop online and we'll ship the order to your home, or you can pick it up for free at the O'Reilly Auto Parts store nearest you. The choice is yours. Shop the way that's convenient for you and get the exact parts you need to get the job done right. O'ReillyAuto.com. Parts for your car wherever you are.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
On the racetrack, you can only go as far as your engine can take you. It's the same on the highway. Making a run with the Detroit engine under the hood gives you the industry-leading fuel economy, reliability, and durability your business needs. The Detroit DD13, DD15, and DD16 engine solutions are specifically engineered to make a run as profitable as possible. Don't just want better business solutions, demand them. Learn more at demanddetroit.com.
Numbers. In NASCAR, numbers represent speed, passion, guts, and glory. Because numbers represent drivers. Numbers like 14, 88, 42, and 78. Numbers that say, that's my driver. Don't mess with my driver. See your number live at Kansas Speedway's first ever playoff elimination race. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Hollywood Casino 400. Sunday, October 22nd. Tickets at KansasSpeedway.com.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for being with us here on The Straight Line here at MRN.com. And on the guest line with us right now is the defending winner 2 times in a row. Thank you very much. Driver at Maple Grove, driver of the Monster Energy Top Fuel Dragster for John Force Racing. Brittany Force joins us. Brittany, congratulations on your win, and thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Of course. Glad to be both in.
Hey, so Brittany, how about the win? I mean, you guys really obviously have that car running well. It's been running well all year, and now get in the winner's circle again for the second time this year. How are you feeling going into these last 4 races?
Oh, I feel great, especially coming off, that win in Reading. That was huge for us. Right now that we're in the countdown, there's only a few races left. This is when you really need to make big moves. So that was a big move for us, bringing home that win for Monster Energy and John Force Racing. It was a huge one for us. It moved us way up in points, but we need to continue that. We need to keep that momentum going, and if we could, keep that up till the end of the year, I think we'll be in great shape.
Tell us also, I was over here at Charlotte watching on Monday, and you were driving the funny car. So you're doing a little bit of double duty there in the funny car and the dragster. Tell us a little bit about that. What's going on there?
Yeah, definitely staying busy, that's for sure. It's really just, I've always wanted to get a license in a funny car. Obviously, John Purse Racing has always been funny cars, so I've always said it'd be cool to get a license and really see the difference between driving a Top Fuel car and a funny car. And actually, I got in a funny car back about 2 years ago, and started working on getting a license, and only really made runs to half track, but we kind of had to put it on hold. We had to put our focus in our teams at the moment and our race cars, so that kind of got set back a little bit. But now I'm getting back in the car, and my plan is to get a license by the end of the year, and go from there. It's really to give us options down the road with sponsors and keeping this team moving forward. So that's really what it's all about. My plan is to stay in a Top Fuel car. I love Top Fuel, but the funny car is pretty interesting. It's a different animal, that's for sure. But I feel so lucky that I have the opportunity to be able to drive both.
Now, the win at Maple Grove, you didn't back into this by any stretch of the imagination. After first round, you had a murderer's row of competition that you had to get through to win the Wally. As a matter of fact, I went and looked it up. 151 wins and 11 championships between Tony Schumacher, Antron Brown, and Steve Torrence. I mean, that is an absolute minefield. When you were looking at the ladders, what are you thinking about when you're once you get past the first round?
Oh, I know. I mean, Saturday night, just looking at the ladder, I thought, wow, this is not going to be easy. It's going to be a battle all day for us because there's no easy team out there. And, to have Tony Schumacher in the second round, that kind of pulls you back a little bit. And Antron Brown after that, and points leader Steve Torrence in the final round. So, looking at all that, you can't really focus on it, but I put my focus in my team and our race car. We had an awesome race car all weekend long. We'd been making consistent runs. It went down the track every single time, so that's where my focus was. You can't get distracted and look at those things, but yeah, it was tough. So, overcoming those and really, getting past those rounds, those are huge. Those are big wins for us.
Hey, Brittany, in the semis, you had a little, I don't know what happened. You had Antron beat, something came apart on your car right at the end, or you had a flash of fire or something. Then going into this, to the finals, your sister had the deal where the parachutes came out or something weird happened in that car. Did they ever figure out what happened to that car and what happened to your car in the semis?
I know. It was, in the semis, it was, I felt it, kind of move me forward in the seat, pull me in the seat, and I didn't know where Antron was on the track. I couldn't see him next to me, and I thought, man, we're right there at the 1,000 foot. If we could just hang in there, we should be good. And I saw my wind light come on, so I knew that we were okay. And Courtney in the final round, that was tough. It really would have been cool to double up with my sister. That would just be so huge. And we're going for it. We're going to do it one of these days. But I definitely thought Reading was going to be it. And it's tough to lose a race that way. If you just don't have the car, whatever it is, you pick up and you move on. But to have something like that happen, where her parachute came out, I don't know if it was half track or, further on. Oh, that's frustrating. So I know it was frustrating for that whole team, but they made it to the finals and, moved up that ladder. So they shouldn't hang their heads. That's something to be proud of.
You talked about the consistency of the car, not only on Sunday, but Friday and Saturday. It was mid-70s, mid-70s, mid-70s every time you went down the track. And then 3 of the 4 runs, you're talking about 72, 74, and 75 or 6 or so. You've got to feel confident when you step in that car and you know what it's going to do, right?
Absolutely. That's our biggest thing is, Friday and Saturday, you get two runs Friday, 2 Saturday. And it seems like if we could take full advantage of those 4 runs, I'm feeling pretty good going into race day. It's tough if you only get 1 or 2 runs down the track and the other runs, your car doesn't get down there. It's tough, having that, in the back of your head going into race day. So I felt really good, where we were leaving Saturday night, going into race day. Again, looking at that ladder was a little tough, but I felt confident in this team, and I thought if we could keep doing what we've been doing, we should be fine. And we brought home the win, so that was huge for us.
Hey, Brittany, we were playing a replay of the final round on our video here, and it was showing Alan Johnson and your crew chief Brian in the there on the starting line, pretty excited. Tell us about that, the consultant role or whatever. Alan Johnson obviously knows how to win race with top field cars, and having him over there helping you doesn't seem to be hurting anything.
I know, absolutely. Alan Johnson he's huge in the sport, and when we got teamed up with him back over a year ago, I was pumped on it. I was excited just to be able to say that I've worked with the man that has built so much for himself in this sport, and to be teamed up with him, I was excited. He's awesome to work with. He's very patient with me. I'm very lucky to be teamed up with him, and he put together a killer race car all weekend long. Him and Brian Houston and the entire team. So really proud of that whole team. I owe it to them that we were in the winner's circle celebrating.
Headed to Dallas, what are your thoughts about going to the Texas Motorplex, and how's it treated you in the past?
Yeah, well, actually, we head to St. Louis tomorrow.
Or St. Louis, I'm sorry. Yes, that is correct. Yes,
Marty
I was
was
getting ahead of
off a
myself. That is correct, yeah.
You confused me for a second. I thought my flight was to St. Louis tomorrow.
No, it is.
Maybe I should double check that. But, I'm feeling good. You always feel good coming off a win. That energy is still there, and I know it's still there with my team. So we'll be pumped going in this weekend, especially because we moved up to the number 3 spot. We're just 1 point out of the number 2 spot, so that's a huge move. But the scary thing is the opposite end of it. If you have a bad weekend, you could go right down that ladder. So it's really about hanging in there, and keep moving up the ladder, keep making good runs, and going rounds on race day. And it's going to be tough, but this team, we're going after a championship.
Well, Brittany, congratulations on putting that Monster Energy Top Fuel dragster in the winner's circle for John Force Racing last weekend. Good luck coming up this weekend at St. Louis.
Thank you so much.
Driver of the Monster Energy Top Fuel dragster for John Force Racing, that is Brittany Force, joining us on the straight line. And when we return, we'll talk 2 wheels with a 3-time straight winner. Eddie Krawiec will join us next.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
If you or your family love the freedom of swimming any time of year, if you love sharing good times and making great memories, or if you want one of the best total body workouts ever, then it's time to discover the 3 C's of your very own endless pool. The first C is convenience. Imagine swimming year-round in your own private swimming pool, installed indoors or out, just steps away. The second C is comfort. With sculpted spa seats and your own adjustable temperature, you can easily escape the stress of your day. And the third C is cost. Your endless pool is an affordable luxury at a fraction of the cost of a regular pool. And here's a bonus C, choice. Because when you call for your free Endless Pool Idea Kit, you'll receive information on our full line of pools to suit your budget and location.
Call now for free information. 800-283-8089. 800-283-8089.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, once again, here's Doug and Marty.
Thanks for being here on the straight line, and joining us on the guest line right now is the driver of the Screaming Eagle, Vance and Hines Harley-Davidson Street Rod. I got to get that right. And winner at Maple Grove, along with Indy and along with Charlotte. He is Eddie Krawiec. Eddie, thanks for being here. Congratulations on your win at Maple Grove in 3 in a row. You guys are on a tear.
Yeah, guys, good to talk. But yeah, I've had a great last month, I'd like to say. So hopefully I can keep it moving.
Well, your Reading is probably not all that far from your home. I think you call Englishtown your home track, but that's not far from home track, right?
No, Reading's been really good to me over the last 10 years. I'm batting 50% when I roll in that park. So wow. I'm definitely excited getting my 5th win there, and I had a lot of family there and friends swinging by, so it's definitely it's about as close to home as I can get without being home.
Eddie, tell us a little bit about the new bikes. We talked to you a little bit about when you were on the show a few weeks ago, and with the new street rod bike, and you're kind of keeping fine-tuning those things, and how things are going with your bike and with Andrew's Vance and Hines Harley.
Well, I mean, basically in a nutshell, yeah, when we debuted the bikes at Englishtown, they had a whole different chassis under them. We kind of had plan A and plan B. Plan A was develop a new chassis, get some data, get going, kind of, try to advance what it is you have, your package. Because if you continue to do the same old thing, you get the same old results. Not that the old results that we were getting were bad. We were winning races. We've won championships, all that with our old current configuration. But we wanted to try and better that. There's a lot of good motorcycles in the class now. There's a lot of guys 60 foot and better. So we figured let's go after some chassis development and really try to get the front half numbers where we want them to be. Rolled them out. Englishtown kind of struggled a little bit as we went through the year. There were a couple races. We did all right, but we just couldn't get the bikes to 60 foot, couldn't get them off the starting line the way that we wanted to. Rolled up to Denver. Lo and behold, we thought we figured it all out. But get down to sea level in Sonoma and still had that struggle again. And basically what we did from Sonoma on is we went through a couple different renditions of the chassis. We were cutting the back half off, moving it around. I mean, Doug, much like, a dragster, you could front half it and back half it and do that. And we were doing that with our motorcycles, trying to figure it out. Well, I explained it as eventually there's a stop sign, and our stop sign was Brainerd. And after Brainerd, we ran directly into the stop sign and realized we need to stop messing with it, go to plan B. And plan B was take our old chassis and basically rebody them with the new street rod bodywork. We did that. Rolled into Indy. We didn't even have the opportunity to test. And bam, right off the truck, Andrew and I go low of the session, both with 82.5s, I believe it was. And, man, from there on, we have not looked back. We are in the process of developing new stuff. But as I said, with the other ones, it was like if you don't change anything, same old results. And that's kind of what we're getting with our old chassis design. So we got our old chassis design back under us with the new street rod bodywork, and our Harleys are flying. So we're definitely not going to change anything right now. We are working on some new stuff and new chassis that hopefully will better it for next year, and we'll continue to test. It'll be a long winter trying to make laps.
The bike is running really good, but it seems to me that when the driver needs to pull out a win, he does, and that was no better evident of that in the semifinals when you got a whole shot win against Scotty Polacek. Just talk about the confidence of the driver, having confidence of what is underneath him that'll get him to the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has. It's kind of worked like that. My worst light in elimination so far during the countdown has been a 27, and I'm pretty proud of that. So I've been staying in that teen range, low 20s, and I've gone double O's when I've needed to. So, again, there's a lot of great motorcycles in the category right now, a lot of fast ones, and you can't slack. You have to have the package right at all times. We kind of changed our program up a little bit this year on the way that we do things. And, what I'd like to say has been ever since I've been involved with the team, Matt has always been the dedicated crew chief for both motorcycles. It's kind of hard to do that. When you're looking at data and information, it makes it really hard to say, all right, let's tune the engine, let's tune the clutch, let's do this, let's do these chassis changes. There's just only so much time that you have in between rounds, especially with two motorcycles. So it's kind of been Andrew really focusing on the engine tune-up and dynamics of the way we run the engine, and Matt focusing on the chassis and the clutch. And I'm kind of the guy in between that's floating and helping out on both. It's better to have three eyes. I shouldn't say three eyes, three sets of eyes looking at each than it is to have one. So we're all kind of involved in one way or the other on the bike, but Andrew's been primarily making tune-up calls. Matt's been primarily doing the clutch and chassis. And we started doing that when we were struggling with the other chassis, and it's only been that much better as we roll into this new bike. So, it's kind of an interesting way to do it because you need to work together so you know your changes and what you're doing. But when it all is right, it comes together, and it's just that much better. So it's been really an interesting dynamic, and it's been refreshing, and we've been running really well. So we're not looking to change anything anytime soon.
So as I understand it, you had a front row seat for the pro bike version of the Hatfields and McCoys. In other words, the Aranas and the Savoies. And there was some, for those of you that didn't see it, there was some, shall we say, some gamesmanship going on at the starting line that didn't really run well with Jerry Savoie. I think you were right there to see it. Can you give us a blow-by-blow of what was going on down there at the starting line?
Well, the easiest way to sum that up is there was no Dougzilla happening at that point.
No.
I think that's kind of...
No, but it had potential.
It sure did, but no, I was enjoying it. I was laughing. I was watching it in the water box all kind of go down. And, I've said it and I've explained it. It's all a mental game out here, and you got to do whatever you can to throw your opponent off. Whether I would like to say Arana Jr. was taking too long, I didn't sit there and time it, but it sure looked like his program was a lot slower than usual. So Ellie was sick. Ellie was just sick of waiting in the pre-stage bulb. I think he was there like 15, 20 seconds sitting in pre-stage waiting. So he just rolled in, put it on 2 bulbs, and waited. And I guess the Arana team didn't like that, and the War team didn't like the fact that Ellie was waiting in the beams for 20, 30 seconds, so things escalated on the start line. They started going back and forth, yelling at each other, and honestly, NHRA Mellow Yellow drag racing needs that.
Right.
There's a lot of emotion that happens in what we do, and you can't mask that emotion. When it happens, I've always spoke my mind and said it the way it is. I don't really care if I hurt your feelings or not. I have lots of friends, and I have lots of people that hate me. So, I'm not out there looking for anybody. I'm looking for win lights and, well, checks. That's the way it works.
Right.
And, I just think drag racing needs that because there's a personable side to everybody. And I think some things were shown there. And it wasn't bad for anybody. It was actually good because it shows you wear your heart on your sleeve, man. Jerry's a great individual. And, he showed it means a lot to him. He respects a lot of people, and he expects to be treated with respect.
Yeah, good rivalry is always good for ratings, right? We need him to watch that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Eddie. It was last week or the week before, we talked to one of your bosses, Terry Vance, on the show, and he was telling us about all these different things that Vance and Hines are doing in the motorcycle world. Tell us a little bit that some of the listeners may or may not know how involved you are with that Suzuki program, like with Jerry Savoie and some of the other riders.
Yeah, so I talk about it all the time. It's one of the things that I pride myself in, and our race shop has a lot of things going on. We're flat track race, we drag race, NHRA racing, we do cylinder heads for Supercross. I mean, all that stuff. We dabble in anything with 2 wheels, and what it comes down to is we build a lot of our competitors' engines, and that's a lot of the inline 4-cylinder Suzuki stuff. And, Jerry, Ellie, go down the list, Joey Gladstone, Karen Stouffer, Scotty Polachek, all these guys that are whipping up on us almost on a weekly basis, well, they're getting the engines from us. So we pride ourselves in giving our competitors something that they can beat us with. And when you take Scotty Polachek, who went to the perfect example is I'm sitting in the water box watching it unfold. It's hot, muggy. I think Arana Jr. probably figured he had the number 1 qualifying spot in Reading there on Saturday second session. And all of a sudden, Jerry knocks out an 82 run, only to be followed up by Scotty Polachek, who knocks out an 82 run 2 thou better and takes it from him. And hey, it's a testament to that's what we give our customers. We give them the best that we can, and it's up to them to find the tune-up that works for it and get all the power to the ground.
Well, I'll tell you what, Eddie, congratulations. You obviously know how to get the power to the ground on your bikes. Yep. and help a bunch of the other guys get their power to the ground, too. So congratulations on the win last weekend at Reading. Good luck at the race coming up in St. Louis.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Eddie.
He's the driver of the Screaming Eagle Vance & Hines Street Rod Harley. Eddie Krawiec, winner of 3 in a row, and headed to St. Louis with a whole lot of momentum. When we return, we will wrap up another great edition of the show.
O'Reilly.
A dead battery can leave you stranded, so get yours tested for free during Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Need a replacement? Purchase a Superstart Extreme or Superstart Platinum battery and get up to $25 in O'Reilly gift cards after a mail-in rebate. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
It's all a family sport.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
Brad Keselowski will win.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
We just have to find the value package that connects a new generation of fans.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
Hi, this is Joey Meyer, championship spotter, adequate pilot, and co-host of MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Join Woody Kane and I every Monday at noon on MRN.com as we debate the biggest stories in NASCAR.
Back for a year again is Kyle Petty. I always laugh when we talk about a race car driver designing a race car track. Let me do it. Oh, there it was. I just designed one. Woo, I made a circle.
Log in every Monday at noon or anytime on demand at MRN.com for MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Big thanks to Brittany Force and Eddie Krawiec for joining us on The Straight Line. We were just, Eddie had mentioned the Dougzilla moment at Maple Grove in Reading, Pennsylvania. Of course,
that was 15 years ago. That's
15
funny.
years ago it is.
Almost every year they still talk about that. That was like the burn down of all time, that we had. And that was, that was where all the, that was a rivalry. Clay Milligan and I had a legitimate rivalry. Like we didn't write each other Christmas cards. Like we were not friends for a long time. And then through a period of, different situations and time passing by, he's one of my best friends now. But boy, there was a long time when it wasn't that way. Pretty neat to, the cars sat there as you and I were talking about, Marty. We sat there for 2 minutes on the starting line in a top field car. So 2 minutes sitting on the starting line in a top field car, you're burning about 10 gallons of fuel sitting there idling for 2 minutes. So it wouldn't have been good if we would have ran down the track, because neither one of our cars would have made it. They would have blown up. Luckily, we went back to the pits. We refueled. I don't know what we did. We cooled things down, went back up the starting line, and we got the win. Boy, because Dougzilla would have been Slugzilla if we wouldn't have got the win after that whole big thing. Right. So we're lucky that we went up there and got the win, and Dougzilla. There you go.
Yep, and that's where that was born. And Maple
so you
Grove.
Go to YouTube and Google Doug Herbert Dougzilla or something else.
And Maple Grove just has this way of presenting staging duels, I guess. I don't know. Big thanks to Brittany Force and Eddie Krawiec for joining us on this week's Straight Line. So for everybody involved, for Doug, I'm Marty. We will talk to you next week right here on The Straight.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. The Straight Line is the show for drag racing fans and was brought to you by Hercules Tires. Tune in again next Thursday on MRN.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is also available on demand in MRN.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.